Mr.
Welcome all to Evaluate to Elevate, given by me and Mr. Glenn Thornton, Quesada. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming here. And as some of you may know, or who are new to Toastmasters, that I am an evaluation champion of 2013. I am not. And throughout the session, I'm going to tell you why he didn't win.
Please runner-up. He came in second.
Gosh! Second. Okay, we're going to go over it.
As my wife said, I came in second place. And I thank this man for that. And you may win it. Are you thanking him because you didn't come in first place? No, I'm thanking him because I came in second place. And the reason is this. When he became an evaluation champ, 6 months later, he did a workshop on how to do evaluations. And I took copious notes on this. And I realized to myself, I said, you know, I decided to use that filler word, you know? I should try to be in the evaluation contest. I always considered myself to be a good evaluator, but not a great evaluator. And I was a little scared about doing this, because he told me when you're in the evaluation contest, how many of you have been in an evaluation contest before? Okay, only a few of you here have been in it. They only give you 5 minutes to prepare. And when he told me about this, I had a vision in my head that I would listen to someone speak, and then they would take me off to this lightly lit room with Sergeant Arms, who was actually armed. And then he hit the button of the table and say, start! And then I had 5 minutes to do the evaluation. And in that 5 minutes, he took away my papers. And I said, wait a minute. I have not finished. I haven't finished preparing. And he'd say, there's no whining in Toastmasters. But it's not like that. The Sergeant Arms, he doesn't have a gun. The rest is true, though. But what came about was this. I realized I needed to do it in 5 minutes, and I needed to take the attributes of the speech and be able to do a preparation. The attributes and the preparation. I finally had the duh moment. Why not create two colors? Let's prepare on one side, we'll do the attributes, and then do the preparation. So tonight is, let me give you a quick outline of what we're going to be doing. This is my buddy, by the way. First part, I'm going to do the left part of your template, which is the attributes. At the end of that, Lawrence is going to take us through an attribute exercise. Then he's going to continue on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Then Lawrence is going to continue on with the preparation side. I'm going to finish off with the summary and the close. And then, after we've taught you this template, we want you to put it into practice. We're going to have a guest speaker come up here, speak, and you're going to use this template. And then some of you, I'll call up here, and you'll actually do an evaluation. You want to put that together right away. Now, all of those templates that are in front of you, I don't want you to write on them while we're giving you instructions, because you're going to be using them.
Do we have any more extra
Templates.
lying around?
In the chair.
So how many more does that have?
I need one.
3.
There's 1, 5, or 6.
2. I have 3.
That's okay.
Okay.
Some
Some of you may have to
You
actually.
guys, yeah. I can still
Okay. But also, right, if you do, does everybody have a piece of pencil and paper to take notes? Yes? Raise your hand if you do. Take down this email address, because I'm going to send you this template. Glenn, Glenn, at Volt, VOLT, club.org. And Lawrence, go ahead and write up your email address as well. Please write it right there. I'm sorry?
You have a greeting card, so we don't have to document it.
No, don't. It's not going to be a hand cramp for you. You're okay with it. boatclub.org.
18 characters.
And the reason, yes, and the reason I put this across is this. We're going to send this form to you in doc form. Microsoft Word that you can open it up on your PC or your Apple or Mac or whatever we want to call it. The reason is this. The attributes that we put together on this template may be different than what you look for when you're listening to a presenter. And we want you to be able to change that and the nomenclature together. So let's go ahead and start. Take a look at the left side of your template. And I'm going to ask this question. What are the 3 pillars of any speech? What are the 3 parts you have to have for any successful speech? Anybody raise their hand. Your name is?
Katarina.
Katarina, stand up. Say your name again.
Katarina.
Katarina? What are they?
Open body.
See, she read the form. She's a smart lady, that Katarina. Open. You want to engage your audience immediately. The body, you want to support your subject, your concept, your ideas. And in the close, you want to give them a lasting impression. Now you'll see below each one of those pillars are attributes. And if you look at it, go ahead and take a little quick scan of those attributes. You can see some are repeated. In fact, you'll see story in both the body, open and closed, and also the quotations as well. Because many times those will show up there. And to the left of those attributes, you see those hash marks? Everybody shake their head. Do you see the hash marks? Okay. What you're going to do with the hash marks is this. In the middle of the paper, down on the bottom, it says S for strength and I for improvement. Does everybody see where it says S for strength, I for improvement?
Some don't have it, but
Okay, most of them do. Those that do have it is this. Hold on, eyes up here. Each attribute has a strength or improvement to it. And so, for instance, that's what you would mark down. These are your bullet points. These are your flashcards so you can prepare your evaluation. So let me open up, for instance. I'm opening up the speech right now. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Today, Lawrence and I are going to give you a different result. Now, how many of you would raise your hands and say, hey, that quote, I'll give that a strength. That's a strength. Raise your hand. Okay, don't be shy. How many of you would say, Glenn, like the quote, but it needs some improvement? Okay. Stephanie? What improvement do I need on that?
It doesn't exactly tell you what you're going to be talking about, unless you're talking about mental health.
Okay.
Then it makes sense.
Richard?
Who is it attributed to?
Ah, he hit it. I did not give who the author was. I did not give credit to that person. Now, I'm not saying the people that showed strength is wrong. That's how you interpret it. But Richard interpreted it as an improvement. So he would circle where it says quotation and put an I right next to it. Is that understood? Does everybody understand what's going on there? Strength and improvement. The other thing I want to put across is you see all those attributes down there? There's a bunch of them. You don't need to mark up S or I for each one of those. The reason why I put it across is this. You want the ones that prominently come out to you. So for instance, on the open, prominently that may come out is a quotation or humor. On the body, it may be a related story or facts and figures. On the close, it may be a summary with bullet points and a pondering question. Those are 6 attributes. Those are 6 flashcards taking you over to the preparation stage. And at this moment, to emphasize the attributes, who do I go to? Our champ, Lawrence Quesada, who's going to take us through an exercise of attributes.
Yes.
And I'm joining you.
the room is crowded. If I can group everybody, have a group about 6 in a group, about 5 or 6, if you can group yourself into 5 or 6 first, and then we're going to go over the attributes. So I'll give you guys 1 minute to group yourself into 5 or 6.
I bet if we go to 8, no one's going to spend it. Yeah, I'm going to join this. You want to join this group? It doesn't matter. You want to come in with our group?
You know, it might be easier to go 3 like this.
We have 3.
Oh, that's 6. Okay, then we'll, Terry, you're going to join us? Huh? Okay, we'll have Okay.
Okay.
We'll see. Shift just a little bit.
Okay, everybody can hear me clap once? Everybody can hear me clap twice? Okay, we can start. Thank you, Tammy. I think she started it. If you look at the left side of your column, you're going to see the essentials of speech. There's an opening, a body, and a close. Now, take note as what Glenn says. These attributes you can change to what is best for you, what you think is best. So what I want to go over is if everybody can discuss in the groups, pick 1 from the opening, pick 1 from the body, and pick 1 from the conclusion or closing. Then after that, we're going to go over why it's important. So I can give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes is fine to discuss pick 1 from the opening, the body and close, and discuss why it's important. Okay, so yeah, about 3 minutes.
Anybody like them?
Okay, so he's a 5, and he's
Okay, in our group, we felt that a smile, presentation, and attire was the most important of those, because if you stand up there and you look like you're sort of like Drek, you know, you've got lousy clothes on, you're very serious, you don't have a smile, I think you're going to turn off the audience for whatever else you're going to follow with. So that's why we felt that was important. That's the first impression. Then on the body, we felt that relatable stories, isn't that right? Relatable stories. We felt that was important to back up what you're going to give a story, presentation. So we felt that relatable stories, things that people can connect with other things, so it makes it interesting for the reader.
Okay.
I mean, for the listener.
Okay, that's fine. Just pick 1.
Okay, so relatable stories.
Okay.
And then the close.
Or the body. Yes, please. Body. So we have the facts and statistics, expert opinions, relatable stories, decisions. So what did you pick?
We discussed them, they're all important, but we decided on transitions, because if you don't have a smooth transition from point A to point B to C, etc., you're going to lose your audience. If you start talking about your cute cat in the first part of your speech and transition to how much you like shoes, they're going to think you've lost your mind and have no idea what you're talking about. So we like the transitions.
Well, thank you. And last, I have the closing. Yeah, why not? Yes, Mike.
Oh.
If you can give us what you think for
We picked up from the closings a summary. You know, when you speak, there is an opening, there is a body, and there is finish. So if you summarize on whatever we say, going back to the opening, repeating what you say, the point is in the middle, in the closing, so we pick up all that. Summary is very important.
Well, thank you. Now, here's going to be the fun part. Again, if you look at the sheets we've sent you, the left side is what you're going to be looking for in every speech. Again, you can change it according to your needs. Left side. Now that you know what to look for, you want to deliver it properly. Am I correct?
Yes.
That falls into the left column wherein the delivery portion comes on. Because if you're giving a delivery and evaluation, you can't go all over the place. We are trying to deliver it by structure. And remember, the hamburger method. You put a lot of bun, a lot of fluff in the beginning, the patty goes in, and then you close with a summary. Another point is, every time you're giving an evaluation, treat it as a speech. An evaluation is also speech. First, the opening. You tell them what you're going to tell them. Number two, the body. You tell them what you said you're going to tell them. Number two. And the closing is you tell them what you told them. Confusing, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to email that to you. It's some words we're going to have fun. Now, let's all focus on the right side. This is how you deliver. The title and name is obvious. It's for reference if you're evaluating 5 speakers you're practicing for the contest. You know who to evaluate. Let's work on the opening. The opening, this is why Glenn didn't win the evaluation. Here's how important the opening is. How many can tell me what a typical opening is? Any volunteers how you usually ask?
It's greeting everybody and thanking the chairman or whoever's.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yes, which is why I went, Carrie.
A quotation or a question to the audience.
That's good. Anybody else?
Thanking the speaker.
That one too? Okay. A good opening, that's what I told you earlier, is you tell them what you're going to tell them. First, let's say, I'm sorry, your name is? Natalie. Thank you for having me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 points for suggestions, give you 2 recommendations, and I'm going to summarize it. That is what you say. You're going to tell them what you are going to tell them. You start off with the opening. Am I clear on this one? So you also can greet them, you can say how professional they are, but tell them what it is you want to convey to them. That is very important. Any questions so far? Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to go to the strengths. The strengths, you're going to get it from the left side of the column. If they open with a quotation, was it a strong point? You write it down. Did they give the author? If they had a good transition, is it a strength? You put it down, and so on with the closing. You just move it over from the left side to the right side. Is everybody clear in this one? Any questions? And here's what I want to go over with areas for improvement. Some call it recommendations. We give 3 strengths and 2 recommendations. How many can give me an example of a recommendation? If you're in actual speech contest, you're giving a recommendation. Richard.
I might suggest they make use of the stage with body movement. If I'm going to give that, then I'm going to show it to them.
Very good. That's what I was looking for. So every time somebody gives a recommendation, like in a club setting, a contest setting, you tell them, oh, you didn't have, or your body movement, you stayed in one place. If you look at the areas for improvement, number 1 is an area for improvement. Below it, it says solution. Can somebody tell me why I called it solution?
It's gonna fix that part of it.
Fix, which is? Demonstration, thank you, Amit. So, if you're giving an evaluation, you want to help the speaker do better. You want them to help fix or be better at what they're doing. So if my body movement, if I'm staying in one place, my evaluator would say, okay, I'm staying here. The best way to evaluate it is you stood in one place, but in order to fix this, in order to be better, you could have moved around, and you see me moving around. It's simple as that. There's nothing really technical to it, but always start with why. Ask why. And the strengths. Here's the strength. Why is it important? Now, you're giving a recommendation. Why is this recommendation important? Is it just for fluff, or is it to help the speaker? And remember, if you're giving an evaluation, it's not just to tell the speaker what they did good or did not, but it's to help the speaker improve and get back on the stage again. Do I have any questions so far? Yes.
For the strings, we're only giving 3?
This is for the contest. We want to limit it. If you have something more than 3, you can speak with them after the speech. Because if you're in the contest, you can only give 2 to 3 minutes. That's the amount of time you have. And you only have 5 minutes to prepare. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. If you had more than 3, you can group them into 3 big buckets, because people can comprehend 6 different strengths and 5 different areas of improvement.
Well, thank you, Amit. Anybody else? Okay. With that, we're gonna be moving to the closing, but I'd like to have Glenn to walk you on the closing. With the closing.
I want everyone to stand up. Everybody stand up. Stretch to the ceiling as far as you can. Okay, lift your arms down, and now sit. The reason why I had you do this exercise, is there's a gentleman who joined our club about 6 months ago, our business professionals. And he came up to me and said, Glenn, for me to grow, I need to stretch beyond my comfort zone. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do today. We're going to be talking about the summary, and we're going to be talking about the closing. I'm going to have you do something a little bit different than what you've been taught before. Laura's talked about, we call it the hamburger evaluation. Positives, improvements, that's the patty, and the positives on the bottom. If you're a traditionalist, oh wait, let me put this across. Who can give me a definition of a summary, by the way? Anybody? Can anyone give me a definition of summary?
You,
Oh wait, won't do it.
you tell them what you told them.
Just exactly the same. Now, if he said, I've given you 3 strengths and 2 improvements, should I include that in the summary?
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
But it's not done very often. It's just not done. And the reason is because if you do it the traditional way, you've created a Big Mac. Let me explain. You've done the positive. You've done your improvements. Now you've gone ahead and summarized the positive, which is another fluffy bun, summarized the improvements, and did a positive closing. That, my friend, is a Big Mac. A 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. I know that because I used to eat a lot of them. It doesn't give it a good ebb and flow. Positives, improvements, positives, improvements, positive. I'm exhausted just doing that. And as he mentioned in a contest, you're just going to confuse the judges. And worst of all, you're going to confuse the presenter. That's what an evaluation is really for. So instead of being a traditionalist, I want you to be an invertist. Is that even a word, John?
I don't think so.
It's okay. I invented a new word called words. Lawrence and I were speaking about this the other day. We were saying, okay, you've done the strengths, you've done the improvements. Why not just reiterate the improvements? So that's what you do. You summarize with the improvements, and then you go into the summary of the strengths. It becomes a double burger, which is okay. I like that. But it gives it a more ebb and flow. Positive, improvements, positive. That's what you're looking for. Is that understood? Does everybody like that? Because I'm going to tell you, and Lawrence probably can contest it as well. Many times when we've been in contests or gone to clubs, they don't do a proper summary. And as you mentioned, we're all on the same page. Give me the 3 strengths and give me those 2 improvements. But let's just improve. We're going to answer some questions at the end also.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, if you say in summary, you have to actually summarize.
That's what a summary is.
You have to summarize. You don't add new points to the summary.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now I'm going to have you stretch again on the close. Repeat after me. I look forward.
I look forward
To your next.
to your next
Speech.
speech.
Once again, I look forward.
I look forward
To your next.
to your next
Speech.
speech.
If I hear that one more time, I'm going to stab myself in the forehead. That is a throwaway line. That is cheap. You've listened to this person's speech, correct? You have ammunition. You know the purpose and meaning of their speech. Why not use that in the closing? Let me give you an example. Some people know about this story. During Thanksgiving, there was this gentleman who did a speech called Turkey. That seems appropriate.
Gobble, gobble.
It was about his mom who lived in Syria. And every time he called her, he could hear the shells above the head being fired up, the bombs in the background. And he said, Mom, please, come to the United States. Live with me and my wife. Be safe. But this was all she knew. This was her motherland. She did not want to leave. But there was this one particular time he called, and the shelling seemed even closer to the top of the roof. The bombs were even louder than before. And at that point, she agreed, okay, I need to take a little vacation from this. They decided to meet in Turkey. He agreed to this. But he did not tell his significant other. That's not a good thing when you don't tell your wife. And his wife, much like my wife, born in the United States, corn-fed in the United States, never has left the United States. Turkey? No, that's not an adventure. That's a third world country. She did not want to go. Eventually, she dragged her feet and she met his mom in Turkey, and him and his mom got to rekindle. They got to bond. It was a short 2 weeks. And she went, and they came back to the United States. And as they were getting off the plane and heading into the car, he looked at his wife, and he goes, wasn't that a great trip? And his wife welled up with emotion because she looked at her husband and realized
For Terry Thornton.
I've been doing it a while, sorry. Okay, Carrie, thank you so much for your speech. It was very enjoyable, and for the next 30 days, I accept your challenge. I will give you 3 strengths, a couple of suggestions, and then summarize my evaluation altogether. So, I believe that making a lasting impression is so important, especially nowadays. No one really feels appreciated while going to work or at home. So, I think you illustrated that in your speech, and you conveyed your message perfectly. Gratitude, attitude. It may have sound redundant at times. I don't know if the audience felt the same way, but I'm going to think about these words for the rest of the day and moving forward and being grateful for my family, improving my attitude possibly. You've used a lot of gestures, so a couple of room for improvement. So you can maybe a little bit more eye contact with the audience as opposed to looking down at your notes. And I enjoy your speech, and I'm looking forward to it. I didn't want to say that, but I'm looking forward to it. And I, again, appreciate your coming up and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Sound like I like somebody else. No, I like somebody else. No, yes. I'm sorry, your name is? Hova, yes, please.
The reason I want to try because my evaluation part of the public speaking is not as good as I would want it to be. So I forgot your name, ma'am. Where are you?
Carrie.
I want to pretend he's a Toastmaster. He's the Toastmaster members and especially Carrie. I want to give you two or three strengths. I don't know if I have three. Two strengths, 2 improvements, and then my summary. First of all, I really like your opening. It was with details what a gratitude and attitude is and why it's so important. And your the body of your speech expanded on your opening, which was great. You expanded as to how we should thank people and make them feel appreciated by us. The parts that you need to improve a little bit, your eye contact. I felt that you were focused right here. You didn't look at people over there. You didn't look at people to the far right. You were reading from your notes. You could have memorized a little bit more and just say it in your own words. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a specific order. Your body language, I felt that you were moving a little bit too much, out of purpose, as they say. Maybe you could just choose 1 or 2 or 3 important points and use body language with that. Whatever it is you feel that is really strong in your speech, use your body language for that so that you can make an impression on your audience. And basically, great opening, great body, overall great presentation, and I just can't wait to see your next one.
Can't wait, huh?
Okay, so first of all, I know it's very difficult because we've been taught a long time. Look forward to your next speech. It's going to take a while. It's just going to take some practice. But you'll find it. You'll easily find it that it becomes very natural after a while. Amitabh was our presenter during the contest. And what I noticed of the evaluators, that there was only 2 people that gave him a closing without saying that. It was myself and the guy who came first, Alan. And I used Amitabh's, he gave us information. He gave us the meaning of his name. And that's what I used in the closing, because that was personal to me. So you'll just have to stretch, and you'll figure it out. But we only have a little bit of time, so we want to open it up for questions and answers. Anybody want to ask some questions real quick here? Any questions? Any closing comments? Go ahead. Yeah, I missed it. Oh, stand up. Stand up. Now go ahead, please, Stephanie.
Oh,
what I have on the opening, you had smile presentation and attire. I understand attire is important, but we were also told that what we're supposed to really be critiquing is the speech and not, well, you know, you could have not come dressed like that, you could have come dressed a little bit better.
If I can,
Go ahead.
You're not supposed to like personally attack the person.
Before he goes into explanation, just so you know, we have the smile and the attire right next to each other.
Oh, you know, you have smile presentation.
Oh, smile, presentation, and attire. You circle it just like she did. It doesn't mean to have to do all three of those things for you to do an I or an S next to it.
Okay, I'd like to address that. First of all, you're not critiquing. You're giving an evaluation.
Right.
Okay. The attire adds to value. I mean, if you're giving it on your, imagine if a speaker comes in their shorts and flip-flops, and they're not talking about Hawaii.
Right.
It's not a Daldale. Honestly, first impression, let's face it, as what Roberta Berry was saying, impression, it always counts. How you present yourself, being professional, it's not attacking you personally, but it's the way how you present yourself, which is always an important thing.
Can I just add to that?
Yes.
I saw a presentation in one of the clubs and they were talking about Earth Day. This guy had a really natural suit made out, you know, like all body, and it was a positive thing. So then people made the comment about attire being fitting to the speech. So it's not always negative in how it fits.
Yes.
I just find, you know, when I'm taking notes, I've missed something in the speech. How do you remember it all and get over there and not take those notes?
You're not going to remember the entire speech.
But you hear her laughing, you think, what did he say?
If you miss that, there's something also that's prominent that stuck out to you.
Yeah.
You know, there's always going to be probably about 10 points in the speech that are going to stick out of you, and then you're going to funnel that into what he said, the 3 positives and the 2 improvements.
Thank you.
And again, this is just a template for you. You can do with it whatever you wish.
This lady had another question.
Yes.
So in other words, you're not tasked with summarizing the speech. You're tasked with just picking out highlights of things that you want to.
Yes.
Exactly. And
Not
that's
about the story and about what they told.
No.
A lot of people do that.
They do that, but I would include that if you want to in the positive close, because that shows that you've actually listened to that individual speech. That's and the only other time that you will use the content is if you're making, for instance, let's say a spring.
As long as it's relatable.
Everybody know who Alon watch Matthew? The guy who won okay, everybody knows who he is? He did a speech, and I particularly like one part of it and mentioned the content of it. The reason was because he did a pause. It was a purposeful pause, and I wanted him to know where it came from. It came from the ending when his mom was weeping. And so that's why I said, I enjoyed that pause and pulled the audience in when you mentioned about your mom weeping. And that's when I'll use just a little bit of content, but at the same time, it was a strength.
One last question, because we're running out of time. Any other question? Okay. Excellent. And with that, we'd like to thank you, everybody, for
Fill out the forms, and by the way, Lawrence and I will probably do this again, but it was short of time, we'll probably do this for like 2 hours.
We look forward to it.
Because it really needs to be longer.